That Lamborghini might be proof of wealth, or it might be proof that someone no longer has wealth. The biggest financial mistake people make is believing that money looks expensive. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving deep into a really profound concept from the psychology of money. We're going to strip away that shiny veneer of modern capitalism and look at how human behavior actually dictates our financial reality.
So, right off the bat, I want you to sit with this paradigm-shifting question. What if everything we've been taught to recognize as wealth is actually the total opposite of wealth? Think about the images that flood your mind when you hear the word wealthy, right? We've been deeply conditioned to associate financial success with visible extravagance. But what if the very act of making wealth visible is exactly what destroys it?
Part 1. The Grand Illusion.
Look, we live in a culture absolutely obsessed with keeping up appearances. You open any social media app and boom, you're instantly bombarded with Instagram lifestyles, influencers flaunting designer brands, first-class flights, and multi-million-dollar mansions. We are told over and over that this is what success looks like. But let's talk about the man in the car paradox. This comes from an observation made by a valet working at a high-end hotel in Los Angeles. Day in and day out, this guy parked the most spectacular cars to ever touch pavement. We're talking Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Rolls-Royces, the whole aristocratic fleet. Now, the initial illusion here is that owning one of these cars automatically commands respect. You see it and assume the person driving is smart, important, and has truly made it.
But the psychological reality behind those stares is actually pretty fascinating. The valet realized this astonishing irony. He rarely, if ever, actually looked at or admired the drivers. Instead, the thought process is almost entirely selfish. Gawkers don't look at the driver and think, wow, that guy is cool. No, they look at the car and think, wow, if I had that car, people would think I'm cool. The paradox is that people buy these massive symbols of wealth to signal to everyone else that they should be admired. But those other people completely bypass admiring the driver. They just use the car as a benchmark for their own desire to be admired.
And you know, this brilliantly illustrates the real danger of judging financial success by outward appearances. Take the story of a guy we'll call Roger. So Roger drove this shiny new Porsche. And because of that one visible data point, everyone just assumed he was massively successful. He had the aura of wealth. But then, one day, Roger showed up in an old, beat-up Honda. The next week, same Honda. When someone finally asked what happened to his shiny Porsche, Roger casually admitted it had been repossessed after he defaulted on his car loan. Los Angeles, and honestly the whole world, is absolutely full of Rogers. Modern capitalism has essentially built a cherished industry around helping people fake it until they make it. A $100,000 car doesn't mean someone actually has $100,000. It often just means they have $100,000 less than they did before, or they're just $100,000 more in debt.
Which brings us to Section 2, Rich versus Wealthy.
Confusing these two concepts, rich versus wealthy, is honestly the root cause of some of the most disastrous financial decisions a person can make. Take this hilariously blunt quote, which cuts right to the core of human behavior. It comes from the financial advisor of a massive pop star, Rihanna, after she nearly went bankrupt and actually sued him for mismanagement. His defense in court was essentially, did I really need to explain to a grown adult that if you spend $1 million on luxury goods, you no longer have that $1 million? You can laugh, but the truth is, yeah, people absolutely do need to be told that. When most people say, I want to be a millionaire, what they are actually saying is, I want to spend $1 million. And spending $1 million is quite literally the exact opposite of being a millionaire.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this clear definition. Rich is current visible income. If someone is driving a $100,000 car or living in a massive home, they are rich. Because even if they're buried in debt, they still need a high current income just to make those monthly payments. Rich people are easy to spot. They often go way out of their way to make themselves known. But wealthy? Wealth is completely different. Wealth is hidden. It is income not spent. It's an option not yet taken. Its true value lies precisely in the fact that it hasn't been converted into physical stuff you can see.
Wealth is fundamentally invisible. It is the luxury car left sitting at the dealership. It's the diamond ring not bought. It is the first-class upgrade you politely decline. The only way to actually be wealthy is to not spend the money that you have. It sounds so basic, right? Yet it completely defies our social instincts. If wealth is what you don't see, how on earth are we supposed to understand it or even strive for it?
Well, this brings us to the profound psychological trap of invisible success. As humans, we learn by imitation. We watch what successful people do, and we try to copy them.
But because true wealth is hidden away in bank accounts and investment portfolios, we only ever see richness. We only see the purchases. Take the story of Ronald Read. He was a humble janitor and gas station attendant who lived a completely unassuming life. When he died, the whole world was shocked to learn he had actually amassed a fortune of over $8 million, simply by saving and quietly investing in blue-chip stocks. He became this massive financial role model, but only after he died. While he was alive, absolutely no one imitated him, because his wealth was entirely invisible. It is incredibly difficult to find authentic wealthy role models, because, by definition, their success is totally hidden from the naked eye.
Section 3. The psychology of the unseen. So, if the math of saving money is so incredibly simple, just spend less than you make, why is it so profoundly difficult for highly intelligent people to simply hold on to their cash? Past a certain income level, people generally fall into 3 groups. Group 1, those who save. Group 2, those who think they can't save. And Group 3, those who think they don't need to save. It's Group 3 that is the most fascinating, and honestly, often the most vulnerable. These are usually high-income earners who believe their large paychecks are this permanent shield. Because they feel they don't need to save, they continuously upgrade their lifestyle to match their peers, completely trapped in this relentless cycle of earning more just to spend more.
And that brings us to what I consider the absolute ultimate equation of behavioral economics. Savings equals the gap between your ego and your income. Once your basic needs and a comfortable level of conveniences are met, any spending beyond that is mostly just your ego approaching your income. It's this desperate struggle to extend your peacock feathers to their absolute outermost limits, just to show everyone else how successful you are. When you realize that saving money is essentially just managing your ego, you begin to understand why people with really decent incomes can end up with zero wealth.
So how do we practically break free from all this? Here is the paradigm-shifting framework for building invisible wealth. Step 1, spend less than you make. Simple enough. But step 2 is where the psychology really comes in. You can only spend less if you desire less material goods. And step 3 is the true key to the whole shebang. You will only desire less if you care less about what other people think of you. Society celebrates spending more than saving, because spending is loud, it's visible, and hey, it fuels the economy. But building wealth is actually far less about your salary or your investment returns and entirely about cultivating humility and ignoring that intense societal pressure. People with enduring financial success simply have a propensity to not give a damn what others think about them. Section 4. The highest dividends.
Now, if you are actually successfully suppressing your ego, choosing not to buy the fancy cars or luxury watches, what exactly is this invisible, unspent money actually buying you? Well, it buys you the unseen returns on wealth. When you have money sitting in the bank and it's not tied up in monthly payments for luxury goods, it acts as a vital hedge against life's inevitable surprises. It buys you flexibility and options. It buys you the ability to wait for a good job opportunity instead of being forced to take the very first one that comes along in a panic. It gives you time to think. It allows you to change course entirely on your own terms, not on the terms dictated by your creditors. This intangible, unseen return is infinitely more valuable than any physical object you could ever park in your driveway.
Controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. True wealth isn't about buying things. It's about buying your own independence. It's about buying freedom from worry. It's about buying the ability to step away from the relentless rat race and actually modulate your life for peace of mind. Every single dollar of savings is like taking a point in the future that would have been owned by an employer or a bank and giving it right back to yourself.
I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought. Next time you feel the urge to upgrade your lifestyle, to extend those peacock feathers, ask yourself this. Are you trying to look wealthy to strangers, or are you trying to be free? Lower your ego. Stop buying things just to impress people who are honestly only thinking about themselves anyway. Start building the invisible assets that no one else can see. Because at the end of the day, those are the only assets that will ever provide you with real, lasting freedom. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Keep this all in mind as you navigate your own financial journey, and I'll catch you in the next one.